أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Al-Abbas Al-Sudani and this is podcast Ummatan Wasata. I'm very happy today to host a special guest, the chairman of Amarsi Foundation, a fellow of Brazen, Oxford University, and a businessman from United Kingdom, Dr. Mohammed Amarsi. Welcome, Doctor.
Assalamu alaikum, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Thank you very much for having me at this podcast. It is a pleasure for me to be here, and even a greater pleasure and honor that I participated in this very august conference of your foundation.
We're honored to host you, to listen from you, and to listen about your philosophy, the interesting philosophy of how to develop Shia around the world. So, Professor, let's start the talk about the influence of Shiatism in the international system. Let me put it like this. How can Shia influence the whole international system, especially the Shiatism, starting from the region, spreading out all over the global?
So I think that before we address specifically what to do going forward, we need to look at some facts which are very difficult to argue against. The fact is that Islam has two main sects, the Sunnah sect and the Shia sect. The Shia are 10% approximately, and the Sunnis are 90%.
They are a minority.
We are a minority. This is something which is inescapable, and we have to work hard to turn this minority into an opportunity, because all minorities everywhere have issues because they are outnumbered.
Yeah.
But there are ways in which the minority, especially small populations, if you look at other communities, there are plenty of examples how they've been able to shoot or box about their weight and make a difference. The second point I would make is that the biggest opportunity that the Shiite people have and the lessons they learn is from the martyrdom of Imam Hussein in Karbala. This has been referred to by Fukuyama in his speeches or in his books. The return of the Mahdi is another principle which is very important in the Shiite faith. And if you look at these two things, there is the past and there is the future. And so these two tools are very important soft power tools that we should be exploiting fully. Because it's one thing to say that we have the mindset of sacrifice and resilience and suffering hardships. But from this base, we need to grow and we need to build. Now, in doing your how do we broadcast, how do we make sure that people understand who we are, what we stand for, why our values are interesting and important values, and how they should be incorporated into the global system, I want to say two things. Firstly, I also want to do whatever we have to do to protect the integrity of Islam as a faith. We should not be doing anything that results in bigger divisions, because these bigger divisions will ultimately spill over into political divisions, and then the problem will be exacerbated. And there are people who thrive on the principles of divide and rule, and so a house that is divided is a house that falls. So whatever we do in our advocacy, it is important that it is always done by projecting the unity of the Islamic faith. Now, once we achieve that aim, after that, the countries that make up the bulk of the Shiite system are Iran, Iraq, Azerbaijan, parts of Bahrain, parts of Lebanon, parts of United States, parts of Europe. That's ultimately the total Shia market. And we have to understand that the strategies that we will adopt, where the Shiites are in control, to where the Shiites are influential but they are not in control, to states where the Shias are minorities. So in all of these cases, without diminishing the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt, we will need to adapt and adopt strategies that are different, because it is different in a majority and different in a minority.
So from Mediterranean to Pakistan, or to in this line, this region, it could be considered as the capital of Shia. The majority of Shia is in this area. And it's obvious that the effectiveness of Shia is going from this area forward around the world. But on the other hand, the other places, the other areas, for example, North America, maybe they have the Shia in North America, maybe they have the freedom, the space to speak more than some Shia in this region. So can we use another way, like reflect the direction of the influence from the first direction is going from the Middle East, for example, around the world? Can we reflect the influence to go from North America, to give them space, to give them the power to talk in behalf of Shia, to spread out all of Shiitism philosophies, thinkings, visions and believings?
So, yes, we have in the West what we call freedom of speech. But that speech is largely responsible speech. But yes, we have the ability to project in an open way more of our ideas than we would have perhaps in states that are less tolerant of free speech. But I would say that before we embark on this journey, we need to really understand what are our objectives that we are trying to achieve. Are we trying to say, look, you have misunderstood us as the people who have advanced political Islam, because this is how the Shiites are seen in many places around the world, that our version of Islam is very political. Largely this stems from the Iranian concept of wilayatul faqih, that there is no difference between politics and Islam, they are one and the same. So the question is, we need to understand what this message is going to be and how we message this.
Sorry for interrupt. You brought me very important question. Did we become an alternative in the public mind of Western for some racist Sunni movements like Al-Qaeda? I mean, in 2006, 2005, the Western world was looking for Al-Qaeda as the mutatarrifin, as the takfiriyin, some minority of Sunnah, not all of Sunnah are Qaeda and takfiriyin, but some of them. So nowadays, because there are two sides of conflicts in the region, and to be honest, Shia is one side, adapting one side of the conflicts. Does that affect our general vision in the public mind in the Western world?
So I think the first thing to say is that your ordinary Joe public in the United Kingdom, United States, Europe, will not really be able to distinguish between what is Sunni and what is Shia. It's too detailed for them to go into this. So
you mean for the public mind or for the specialists?
For the public mind and for the political people, they want to do what is easy for the street, for the public to understand. So if the public has got no bandwidth, no capacity, no stomach to understand that there are, in essence, two different types of Muslims, and it's not fair if one brand of Islam is also tainted with another brand of Islam. But this is too detailed. That's why my first point was that whatever we do, we have to ensure that we present Islam as a religion of love, of respect, of tolerance, of acceptance, of inclusion, of diversity, and one that is growing. And within it, if we then want to explain that, look, some of the values that the Ahlul Bayt brought to the Shiite sect are extremely interesting. So, for example, the Nahjul Balagha. This is a fantastic book. The system of governance that Imam Ali projected in the Nahjul Balagha, especially when it came to his instructions to the Malik al-Ashtar in Egypt, these are beautiful sayings for how governance should work. The works of Ayatollah Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr, Iqtasaduna and Falsafatuna, are timeless pieces of Islamic philosophy and Islamic economics. So what I'm trying to say is that there is a lot of extremely interesting, important values which we could articulate, but this articulation has to be in terms that the audience can relate to, understand, and accept. It's a great opportunity, and I think that this conference, which is my first time to attend, I think is a superb platform on which to build about how we should, what the message should be, what the narrative should be, and how this narrative should then be explained to people so that they see a friendlier, a loving, a caring side of Shiite Islam, which is what it really is. Okay?
Interesting. So from my own perspective, that Al-Imam al-Mahdi Ajjalallahu Faraj al-Sharif, he's the one who fixed the earth, or we should say he's the one who fixed the earth before we say he's the one who take the revenge, or there's a philosophy that wars bring peace. But the first priority is to marketing the Savior, Al-Imam al-Mahdi. He's the one who fixed the earth. He's the one who will bring the peace to earth. Before we say he's the one who will take the revenge, or he's the one who will punish the bad people. So my point is, are we doing that in Western world? Our Shiite in Western world, our academic researchers, scholars, Shiite, do they believe in this? Do they believe that Shia is a madhab, a religion, depend on cooperation, depend on loving people, respectful, helping people?
So I think that when they learn about the works of the Marja'i, whether they are in Najaf or in Qom or in Mashhad, and when they look at the endowments, they look at the foundations, they look at, we were shown a video today, but anybody who comes to Karbala, to Najaf, to Mashhad, they will see the work that these ulamas and the Marja'i have done through their foundations in helping alleviate poverty, in building schools, in building hospitals. So wherever the state has failed, these institutions of the Marja'i have stepped in and have supported the community. They have been in existence for a very long time, and they are the biggest foundations and philanthropic organizations in the world. Largely, they are accountable, they are impactful. The impact can be felt and seen when you visit the hospitals. I have been to many private hospitals funded by Ayatollah Sistani's funds in Najaf. I have been to the Astana Quds Razavi and their work in Mashhad in terms of hospitals and schools and universities and colleges of technology. So I think a lot of good has been done. But the Shiites have been publicity shy by and large. other communities would have shown this all over the world again and again and again until people understand this. And one of the reasons why we have not done this is because our mindset is one of we do things privately. There was a hadith which I can't remember who narrated, but they say when you give charity from your right hand, don't even your left hand know about it.
Exactly.
So this has been our mindset. But if we want to showcase the soft power, then I think it is important that we do it through media. Now, in the old days, we had to own large media companies, newspapers, television, broadcast, all of this. Today, it doesn't require this because social media is quick, it is cheap, and it can be viral so quickly. Yes, so we need to develop a strategy. And I think this foundation here can develop a very effective communication strategy without attacking any other sects or any other religions. This is not about competition. This is about showing how good we are and let the public judge for themselves. Once they see how good we are, they will judge for themselves that these people absolutely know what they're doing. I'll give one example of an organization that I was very impressed with recently. It is called Who is Hussein? Mm-hmm. And Who is Hussein has become in Muharram and in the day of Ashura and Arba'in, the biggest single organization globally that takes blood from individuals, builds it into a blood bank, and then donates that blood to hospital. The symbolism of it, because it's blood, and the value that these people they do and the publicity they give to Hussein is what I mean when it comes to exploiting our soft power capabilities. So I think that there is a lot can be done, a lot should be done, and this conference, I think, and its founder, Syed Amar al-Hakim, I've met him a few times now. I have been very, very impressed with his vision and his leadership. And as they say, that those people that have vision but do not have any action, they are daydreamers. And those people that act without a vision are a nightmare. So you need both vision and you need action. And Syed Amar is one such person that I have high hopes for.
So you've brought a very fantastic thing that, we have in Sharia two types of raya to show people what you've done. So there is haram raya, not good raya, bad raya, but there is good raya. Like in one hadith, مضمونه المراءات in funeral is good. You should make the relatives, the family of in funeral to see you, to give them your condolences. So I totally agree with you. We need to marketing our culture, our thoughts, our visions, our believings, which is believing to stand on peaceful, stand on respectful. So let me take my curiosity to United Kingdom. So there are a statistic I read, 200,000 Shiite in UK. Is it accurate?
Yes, that should be the right number.
Approximately.
Yes.
So my question is, are these Shia in UK influential? Are they considered as influencer in the community of Britain? And the second point, how does British people look to Shia on political scale, political aspect, and social aspect?
So I think that the same principles that apply in the UK would normally apply to the United States as well. So clearly we are a very small minority in comparison to the Muslim population as a whole in the UK or the US. We, I think, until now have not quite found the right balance between how we can be a good citizen of the country as well as being able to freely practice and fully practice our faith. In a place like the UK, which is Western in its culture, its origin, it's a Christian state, we have to find the right balance between our duties to statehood and our duties to our faith. And I think that most people are sort of lost in this dichotomy, because if you decide to become important, I don't like the word influence very much, and the word influence in the United Kingdom space or Western European space is where you are paying something to receive something. There is a quid pro quo involved. So I don't like that word very much. I prefer to say that, look, we want to do what is best for the country, for the people, for ourselves. And if we say that, look, we want to stand for parliament, we want to become CEOs of large companies, then we want to take on this responsibility, A, because we believe we are the right people to drive change, and then we are the right people to deliver what the people actually want. And in doing this, if we were to follow Shiite Islamic principles, that is absolutely superb, because we would be combining those two aims together. What we also find is that while we have very good professionals today, be they doctors or some lawyers or some accountants, but we do not have those people that also then want to say, okay, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm an engineer, I'm an accountant, I'm a superb professional. Now I want to either serve the community by being working for the organizations that run these communities, or I want to stand for politics or local authorities. There are very, very, very few people who actually do this, because firstly they say, why do we bother? What difference will it make?
That's my next point. I wanted to ask you about the adaptation. Sometimes someone has the ability, has the circumstances are good, but he doesn't have the adaptation. He doesn't adapting the idea. So some Shia, or let me put it like this, are Shia in UK, like scholars, doctors, engineers, researchers, are they adapting this idea of Shiitism, or developing Shia, helping Shia, sending a good message about Shia to enhance their look, to enhance their picture in front of the Western world face?
If I have to be honest, I'm not sure that that's how they would see it. They would see this as sort of a black and a white situation. And they would not find, here in your country, in Iran, in Lebanon, it's very easy to merge these two strands, because being an Iraqi or Iranian or Lebanese and being a Shiite Muslim is, in most places, in most people's minds, is more or less one and the same thing. There is no inherent conflict. In like UK or United States, for example, if you hold a passport and you are a citizen, then you are required to, you are obliged to, you feel loyal to observe what the local requirements are in terms of customs, in terms of regulations, in terms of laws, in everything. If you really want to live there, succeed, prosper peacefully. And then when it comes to your faith, yes, you are a Muslim, you are a Shia, you want to go to mosque, but you do these things much more in private. So there is no real public visibility between, on the one hand, being a very successful doctor or lawyer or engineer, and saying, by the way, I am also a Shia Muslim, and it is the learnings that I received as a Shia Muslim that have made me this successful.
So it's about
that connection is not there.
Yeah, and it's about how can I show the identity of mine as a Shia Muslim. And that's one of the important points, the citizenship of Shia. Shia should belong to their countries, to their should follow the rules of their countries, but they share the same religion, they share the same aqidah, share the same spiritual ideas, but they should belong, because if this idea, if these thoughts appear to Shia that they belong to other countries, to other states, of course they will be dangerous and they will be under danger in their countries. So Shia citizenship is good. How can we develop Shia citizenship?
But this is not unique to the Shias alone. This is a problem faced by the Hindus, it's a problem faced by the Buddhists, by the Jews, by every minority. They face the same issues. Some of them are able to blend the two and make it into a unified position. Others see this to be a conflicting situation. And others are just so, I would say, bored with this. They're not interested in this. They just don't want to get to grips with this because it is just difficult. For them, it is more easy to have a job, get the salary, have their children go to school, have a house, and just get on with it. They're not, and then they would, of course, come to the mosque when they need to, somebody's wedding, somebody's funeral, for if they have time, then all of Muharram. If they don't have time, then for Ashura and Arba'in, and they will come for Laylatul Qadr. And beyond that, they just want to do what they want to do. And I think that what I think is really important here is that they should be allowed to live their lives, but at the same time, there should be a more pronounced way of showing how it is their upbringing in the Shiite faith that has ultimately made them good citizens. That there is nothing that is conflicting about these two things. In fact, it is the upbringing in a particular system which actually advocates that if you live in this country, then you should become a good citizen of that country first, and align this with your values, because the values, if the values are good values, they are universal values. Whether they are Shiite Islam, whether they are Hindus, Buddhists, Muslims from other sects, or Christians, it doesn't matter. The values are the same. Don't kill, don't lie, don't steal, take care, and all this.
Values.
They're all moral values. And Islam, because of the way it has evolved, the Quran is a timeless book. The Hadith are timeless edicts of how you should behave. And for us, which is more than with other people, we have the blessings of the Ahl Bayt, the 12 Imams, all of whom made significant contributions in their own countries, but also globally. If they could see today what impact their work has done, from Kadmiya, from Karbala, from Najaf, from Mashhad to all the world, they would be really proud that their people not only survived, but have actually thrived.
So one point I can summarize, one of many points actually, but this point I want to ask you about, I can summarize from your points, from your philosophies, from your vision, that we need to create Shia stars, for example, young stars around the world, to bring these principles, these values, to take these values with them, to show people. Even it's not about just showing, but we agree that showing is one tool to develop Shiism around the world. How can we create these stars? For example, young stars.
So it depends again, if you are thinking of how do we create. So to me, if you want to create a class of entrepreneurs, a class of young innovators, because the higher somebody rises in his corporate position or becomes very, very rich, then unfortunately in life money talks. And if you have money, then people are going to listen to you. Look at Bill Gates or Warren Buffett. If they had no money at all, who would respect Warren Buffett or Bill Gates? It's a fact of life. So money, unfortunately, is in a way the driver of many, many things. So if we create an entrepreneurial class that has innovated, built a business. This is not a 1-year timeline, this is a 10-year plus timeline. Then, and if these people who have made it, who have a public figure, public personality, public persona, they are influencers, they have millions of people following them as a role model, and if they then come up and they say, by the way, of course we were lucky, but we were also blessed. And the blessings came because of where we came from, what we learned, and what we were taught, and we followed this guidance, and today, alhamdulillah, we are so successful. So this is one. The second, which is more directly answering your question, is that maybe this foundation, and we would be happy to support them, we create a prize, we create a recognition system that we will invite people from Shias all over the world to submit a paper, to submit a plan, to submit their experience, that they actually benefited from these learnings in the success they achieved. So they have to do two things. One is to show that they have been successful in whichever field, making money, in tabligh, in academia, it doesn't matter what field. But in those fields, they have to say that their success can be attributed, can be connected to the learnings and teachings of the Ahlul Bayt. And we receive papers like this. It doesn't have to be a research paper, just an application. And we then award them with a prize to say, look, not only are you successful, but we are now convinced that in your success, the rulings and the learnings and the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt played an important part.
Very interesting, and I'm very honored to host you, to have this wonderful speech with you, Professor. Thank you, and thank you for your time.
No, it is an absolute pleasure. And I would also say one thing. This is a project that is going to take time, because they say alone you can run very fast, but together you can run longer. This is a marathon, it is not a sprint.
Yeah, it is.
And we need to have that mindset that this is a vision which we should start now, maybe with this foundation and the amazing work it is doing, and have a 10-year horizon to say that this is the goals that we want to achieve in 10 years, and inshallah we strive towards achieving them. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Sisters and brothers, that was, frankly speaking, that was one of the most wonderful podcasts I've ever done. Inshallah, we'll meet in another podcast. Thank you for listening. That was Al-Abbas السوداني and podcast أمة وسطة. في أمان الله.